Hi, Founder fans. Jason here, and today's founder is Christopher Leffingwell, the Candyman of the American Revolution. Kind of. So, Christopher Leffingwell is one of the richest people in Connecticut when the Revolutionary War begins. He actually descends from the founder of Norwich, Connecticut, and a few generations in, has become a very wealthy leader. He dabbles in all sorts of industries. He owns several mills, a hosiery for making stockings, which were worn by men at the time, and a chocolate making facility. But before we get to that, he also owned, well, something that really got to him when the Stamp Act came around. See, the Stamp Act, leading up to the American Revolution, said you need a stamp on all pieces of paper. And it'll seem obvious right when I say it, but the people most upset about this were people who owned paper factories. And there were not a lot of them in the colonies. In fact, the only person in Connecticut to make paper was Christopher Leffingwell. And he was especially peeved because most paper came from overseas, but now everything he's making in one of his many factories was paper and being extraordinarily heavily taxed. Now, he definitely was outspoken about his opinions, and he definitely spoke to his friend Jonathan Trumbull, and probably affected Royal Governor Jonathan Trumbull's attitude once the revolution came, because Jonathan Trumbull becomes the only royal governor to stick around and become a patriot governor during the American Revolution. And it's very interesting, their relationship and Leffingwell's effect on his thought. Now, once the war breaks out, Benedict Arnold meets up with Ethan Allen, and they famously take Fort Ticonderoga, but someone had to pay for this. And one of the people who raised money, there's a group of 6, we'll call them investors in Connecticut, and the leader of this group was Leffingwell, and his money had a large role in that early taking of Fort Ticonderoga, which was a major victory for the Patriots. Unless, of course, you were from New York, at which time you thought that Massachusetts and Connecticut just invaded your colony. Putting that aside, Christopher Leffingwell at this point is already helping to fund the war effort. And then when the Continental Army is created, he jumps in even further and continues to help. In fact, he provides, his paper is used to create shell casings for bullets used, and among many other things that he does, his chocolate is rationed to the soldiers in the Continental Army. Now, I call it dessert for the Patriots. I doubt they really looked at it like that. Any food that they could get was very important, and chocolate was a food. So that is how they viewed it at the time. It's just fun for me nowadays to say, hey, yeah, he was the Candyman of the Revolution. It's a little bit clickbait, but here you are. Either way, Lexington was extremely important, not just to Connecticut, but to the war itself. Additionally, once the war ends and the United States Constitution is created, I have to remind you that we are coming out of the Enlightenment and entering the Industrial Age. This is the beginning of the Industrial Revolution, and as a person who already owned several factories, Leffingwell is really important to the development of industry in Connecticut. He's actually one of the first people to show interest in bringing this new invention, the spinning jenny, over to the, I almost said colonies, these young states. Now, he doesn't actually do that, but his discussions lead to other people doing it, famously in Massachusetts, and then which it spreads kind of like wildfire across the colonies, and there are spinning jennies all over the place. From there, he goes into a semi-retirement because he's just very wealthy and has other people overseeing his factories, and he starts to contribute to city improvements. He personally contributes to the building of roads, bridges, and lighthouses in Connecticut, specifically in his hometown of Norwich, which he is, again, a descendant of the founder of, and one of America's founders as well. So that's the story of Christopher Leffingwell, who I like to call the Candyman of the Revolution. To be fair, there were other sugar refineries. There were some other people serving chocolate, but he's one of the few people to actually send his chocolate directly to the Continental Army. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, definitely hit like. If you're new here, subscribe. I put out brief videos every single morning about a different American founder, and I'll be back with another founder for you tomorrow.